Hey, Twisted listeners, I'm Cindy,
And I'm Diva.
and this is Twisted Listers, a podcast about murder.
And lists.
And this week is a new list. Sorry, we're a day late, guys. I am so tired. I just couldn't get
Yes.
my shit together to record yesterday, and I apologize. Been a long ass week. Allergies are like destroying my life, and
hmm
I was telling Diva that I can't take Claritin anymore because I became allergic to it. And what it does is it makes me short of breath. And I found this out in like June of 2020. So I took a Claritin and became short of breath and was like, I have COVID. I'm going to die. And a couple hours later, it went away. And then the next day, I took a Claritin and the same thing happened. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Who the fuck becomes allergic to allergy medication? Like, the irony of that is so fucking deep. Like, so now I just suffer and I feel terrible. So if you hear me coughing or sniffling, it's because everything in LA is blooming suddenly because we had monsoons all fucking winter. So
Poor Cindy.
I'm dying. Anyway, it's spring. It's spring break. A lot of LA is on spring break this week. And as such, we are honoring this, tradition of a week off for everyone to reset by talking about people who got murdered while on spring break.
Yep. A lot of people are on vacation right now, and I resent them because I cannot afford a vacation.
Nor can I.
It's great. Yeah. A lot of people just take a spring break, like, PTO, vacation time. And I'm like, that's okay. I'll never do that.
Yeah. Not us. We just work. I didn't even think about taking time off. Like, I'd said like, oh, I might take like a Friday off. And then I got so busy, I like forgot to ask. And then I was like, oh, I can't anyway because I have 6 phone calls. So it's been great.
We always do an anniversary vacation though in June, which is more like a weekend, not a week, but I'm hoping I can at least pull that off. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just been a weird combination of busy and slow. And so I have no money and I'm working and it's just been it's been a weird couple of years. So a couple of years, Jesus. Anyway, so these people all went on spring break and unfortunately terrible things happened to them. And that fucking sucks. Are we doing a Patreon this week? I forgot to ask you if you could do that.
We could. Yeah, I can definitely work on mine. It's almost done. And we should also do a little casual crime roundup because there's been a lot of true crime news to talk about.
Oh my God, there's so much to talk about. Okay.
I would love to do that. I would barely need to prepare. Also, I did a whole case, finished it, and then realized it wasn't at all related to spring break. So I have it, and I'm like, let's just on the Patreon casual crime roundup. I'll just read it.
Wait, who was it?
It is the case of Zindell Brown and Shaheed Woodard. Those are the victims. It just happened a couple of weeks ago, but I have like almost 2 pages about it. It was a Mexican cartel murder.
Because there was another one, and she went missing around Christmas, and I was like, that's not spring break. She was found during spring break, is why it was on there. Like, that's not.
Yeah, close. I might have. It was a little hard to find these, so I kind of messed up a few. But this was one where, because it happened, the headlines warned people not to go to Mexico for spring break, and that's why it was linked to spring break. But they weren't actually spring breaking technically, so
they were just there. Okay. Yeah.
But I still want to like use the research, so I'll just read it on the Patreon.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, great. So we got lots of Patreon content coming up. You guys can join us there. Patreon.com/twistedlisters. Follow us everywhere else. Let's just get into the cases, man. I'm ready to go. Let's fuck this shit up.
Am I going first?
You are going first because I chose, right?
Yes.
I actually remember that I chose and what we were talking about. I'm very proud of myself.
Look at you. Yeah. And then you're going to go pass out after this. You'll be done using your brain for the day.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So this is the mysterious disappearance, I'm going to say it straight up, of Rennie Jose.
Oh, you're doing this one first. Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. I really, 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 really want to call him Rennie Jose in my head, but it is not Jose. It is Jose.
All right.
I learned. Yeah. This happened in 2014 in Panama City Beach, Florida. And I haven't done like a mysterious disappearance in a while. So I was excited to do this.
That's great.
Um,
Also, can I tell you that for a split second, I'm so smart. I was like, why are so many of these in Florida? And it's like, because everybody goes there for spring break,
spring break.
stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Classic.
ooh, okay.
So Rennie Jose was a 22-year-old student at Rice University in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
He and his family were originally from upstate New York, a little city called Latham.
Oh,
And at this time, his family lived in Albany.
okay.
At
So
Rice,
that's so weird. That's like
yeah,
such a move.
it is. Yeah, but Rice is a really good school. And I know someone getting their PhD there right now,
Oh,
just
nice.
finishing.
Wow.
Yeah, at Rice, he was studying mechanical engineering, and he had a 4.0 GPA, so he's like solid.
Yeah, smart
Very
person.
super smart kid. Yeah, he was set to graduate that spring, so he's a senior. This is the very end of his high school, or sorry, college experience. And he had job interviews lined up. That's the kind of thing you can actually get jobs with just a BA or BS rather, or whatever the degree is called, mechanical engineering. Like you actually can get jobs. It's amazing.
Yeah. You have to kill yourself
Um,
to fucking graduate, but once you do, you're
yeah,
coasting. You're having a great time.
yeah. Unlike art history, which I studied, which is useless until you get a PhD and you're dead and you're poor and you're sad.
Yeah.
Woo. Okay. So well, anyway, things are obviously looking up for Rennie, but as I'll talk about a little bit later, he actually like his heart kind of wasn't in it, and I think he felt pressure from his family to do mechanical engineering, but didn't like totally love it. So he's like really brilliant, but kind of wishes he was doing something else.
Okay, that sucks.
Yeah. But he and a group of 20 to 22 friends, I've seen different numbers, up to 22 friends, drove to Panama City Beach, Florida. That sounds like my fucking nightmare. I'm sorry. I've done trips with like, I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7 of my friends that get a house at Airbnb, and that's fun. But like when it starts to get really big, it's stressful.
I wonder if they like
I don't
did they
like it.
did they rent like a bus or did they all like caravan out there?
I think they probably
Like,
just caravan drove. Yeah, like a bunch of cars. Yeah.
it'd be more fun in a bus. I one time drove from
Would.
Chicago to New York in a fucking sedan with
Whoa.
5 people inside, and all of them were men, and the largest one was 6'4". And we all
Oh my God.
squished inside this fucking sedan and did the drive in, I think we did it in one day. It was the worst,
Oh
but
my
also
God.
like the most amazing experience. Oh, to
Like
be in my
memorable, but
20s again.
memorable but stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm
Wow.
just kind of picturing like all of these dudes like sausaged in a sedan.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be too. So they're all drove out to Panama City Beach, Florida, and they were renting a beach house for the week. So the trip is meant to be like a last big blowout before they all graduate, right?
Yeah.
Spring fling. And Rennie was known to party a normal amount. Of course, later his parents will say like he never partied one time, but all of his friends are like, oh no, he partied. But he's, kind of I respect this kind of person because he's the kind of guy who can party a lot, but also like get perfect grades. So he doesn't let it like affect him in a negative way.
He's probably blowing off steam. It's probably necessary
Yeah,
to get those good grades. Like
exactly.
having
It's
an
all about
outlet.
balance, right?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yep.
So yeah, so he sends his mom pictures when they get there of the beach, of the house. He's like, everyone's having a great time at first, obviously. He told her it was very cold, so just keep that in mind. It is not it's not a hot time here in March in Florida, which tracks. March is still kind of wintry on the East Coast.
Yeah, for sure.
And those ocean breezes. I was in Florida. The only time I've been there was in May, like later, or was it? Yeah, it was in May, I think, and it was really nice. But it was still a little cold, like at night.
I mean, it's freezing here right now. It's like windy, fucking 20 mile per hour winds and shit. So, I mean, it happens anywhere,
So Rennie was last seen walking east on Front Beach Road, which is where the house was, at about 6:30 p.m. on March 3rd. And I guess that's it. I guess his friends don't notice that he's missing until the next day. So I guess there's so many people and they're not like, and they're drinking
sober?
Probably.
Yeah, they're not sober.
They're not sober. And they don't know what to make of him being gone, and they don't notice.
Oh fuck,
and
dude, that's crazy.
We can say what we want about that, but they first know something's wrong when the next day they find the clothes he was last seen in a dumpster behind the house.
Behind the house?
Yes.
Ooh, that's so creepy.
Yes. His wallet, laptop, and suitcase were still in his room.
Okay.
And apparently, I've seen in one news coverage thing of this, so I'm not 100% sure if it's true, but it's a huge, to me, a huge, like, what's the thing, factor in how I feel about this, if
Hmm.
it is. I saw somewhere that apparently some of his clothes, but at least one sock for sure, I
Hmm.
know the sock is correct, were found at the beach.
So a bunch of it in the trash, but one
Yes,
sock at the beach.
at least one sock, but potentially more clothes. Yeah. As the search continues, oh yeah, I already said that they found the sock on the beach.
Hmm.
His family flies out to Panama City Beach the following day, and by that time, this is fucking weird to me. By that time, this is like in the middle of the trip, all but 6 of the friends left, were gone.
They were
So
just like, fuck it, we're
16
out of here.
people, yes, 16 people left
That's fucking crazy.
within a day. And it's just, they had to change their plans. They had to get in the car and leave earlier than they were going to.
I, I
So, yeah,
I don't know. Like if something like that happened, like
yeah,
one of my friends went missing, I might leave. Not because I was
yeah,
like a suspect, but like that trip is fucking ruined. Like weird shit
yeah.
is going on. I would probably want to go home because I would be freaked out. You
But
know what I
wouldn't you want to
mean?
look for him? Wouldn't you want to try to fucking look for him though? Like that's what I would do.
I
My first
mean,
instinct would be to look
yeah,
and
obviously,
help.
yes, but if police are involved and shit like that, I don't
Yeah,
know. It's really hard to say. I know how I'd like to
yeah,
think I would react, but like
yeah,
it might
yeah.
just
And
be
there's
like
also these,
terrifying.
and as we'll talk about, these kids definitely have illegal drugs. So maybe that's also
Right.
taking, a
Hmm.
reason why they don't want to hang out with police too much.
Or maybe
Oh,
they're fucking suspects, okay? Like maybe they are.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
So when his mom gets there, well, the whole family, but his mom would describe the house as already cleaned up, which also concerns
Oh.
me. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna play a big devil's advocate in this. I
okay.
can tell already.
Well, okay. Well, I'm just gonna say straight up right now to you, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I'm not
Okay.
100%
Okay.
either way.
Okay.
But we'll talk about it. So
Okay.
his family is there. The police aren't taking his disappearance super seriously. They're like, he ran off, da 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 da,
Yeah.
which I'll talk about more. But they think, well, okay, I'll get to that in a second. So his family isn't getting anywhere with these remaining 6 friends that are there. They all have kind of vaguely contradictory stories about seeing him walking around. One person didn't see him at all. Um, and the 2 girls out of the 6 that are there apparently refused to speak to the family and instead went to
Oh,
go get Starbucks. They
that's
got frappuccinos. Yeah.
but I mean, I don't know, 22-year-old girls, like that tracks
They
a
could just be
lot.
being dumb assholes. It might not be anything like super profound, right? But
They might
still, it
not
doesn't
think it's
look
a big
good.
deal at this point, too. They might also be like, he probably just
Yeah.
fucking went somewhere, like whatever. It's
And they
only
could
been a
just
couple
be
days.
and they could also just have like no manners, you
Right,
know?
100%. They
Um
just be shitty fucking
so
people.
yeah.
Yeah,
And a lot of the friends quickly lawyer up and will never speak to the family.
they did it.
Was that it? Was that the thing that broke?
That's it. Yeah.
Um
Why are you lawyering up? Like,
yeah. Why?
why? Like, if it was drugs, wait until you're out and then go back and be like, we cleaned the house up because we all had fucking weed or whatever. You
Mhm.
put
Yeah.
a lawyer up and refuse to speak. They fucking hazed or did something horrible to that person.
Yes.
They fucked
So,
it up.
and the
Yeah.
majority of these other 16 friends who had left also, like I said, some of them lawyered up and wouldn't speak to their parents, and the majority of them were just literally never questioned, not even by police. Rennie's mom
Wow.
tried to reach out to all of them, but got pretty much nowhere. She said she only spoke to a few of them, essentially.
Wow.
And another friend of Rennie's who wasn't on the trip. This is actually really gets me. Who sounded like she was a pretty good friend of his.
Hmm.
Said that she tried to find out what happened, like when they were all back at Rice, right back at college.
Yeah.
Tried to find out what happened and tried to ask all these people who were on the trip, and none of them would talk about it with her.
That's because they fucking did
Um,
it.
and she was even told by some of these friends who told her to stop fucking talking about it.
What year was this?
2014,
Somebody's going to crack eventually. It's just a matter of
right?
time. That many people know what happened.
That's insane.
Somebody's either going to find Jesus or have kids or something, and they're going to fucking crack. Like, there's no way this
Okay.
many people are going to keep this secret. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not devil's advocate. Fuck these people.
Okay, you might flip all the way 180 when I tell you this next thing.
Oh my God.
Back the other way. Yeah,
Okay.
this one's very ambiguous. So the one potentially useful thing that a friend who was there does say is that, well, okay, well, I'll say that it's actually the day before. They were taking LSD.
Oh.
And yeah, and Rennie had told this friend that he was going to run away and hurt himself.
Yeah.
However, there's a couple caveats here. So this sounds bad. However, his family swears up and down he was not suicidal at all. He was very open about his mental health. But of course, families aren't going to say that.
Right.
Apparently, the private investigator that the family hired also stated that he probably was not still like on acid at this time because they took it the night before. So it's a full 24 hours. And I know depending on the amount, you could still be tripping. Still.
Can I? Have you taken acid?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Me
don't
too.
Make me say that.
Sorry.
Never.
I have taken it many times. And I took so much that I had to like leave a party and go home and like sit in my bed and rock back and forth. And like, it was horrible. Yeah. And that lasted like 14 hours. And the last like 4 hours
that was
were
14.
like,
okay.
And the last 4 hours were just like me being like, oh God, it's almost over. Thank God. I was no longer anywhere near out of my mind. And so
if he took it 24 hours before, he's probably not tripping.
That's not part of it.
At this time.
No. Fuck no.
Yeah. And so he would have been basically sober by this time, even if he started drinking or started doing something else.
Yeah, he would not be on acid.
I also, if you buy into the narrative that the friends could be guilty, why not? What? That's a perfect thing to say, right?
Yeah.
It makes it sound like he ran away. Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't hold water in my mind.
Okay.
There's nothing about that convinces me of shit.
So that's it. There is nothing on this case. No sightings of him. I'm going to go into some theories in a second and kind of like just speculate basically. But Rennie's family has tried to keep up awareness of his case. I just wanted to say that they have a Facebook page called Find Rennie Jose. They've had vigils. They've literally gone out in the street with signs, and according to his family, the police are doing absolutely nothing. They do not give a shit.
That's pretty fucked up because this is a solvable case. With that many witnesses and that many like suspects, they are actively
they should be putting the pressure on those friends.
Is the family able to like hire a private eye or anything? Like
they did, yeah. So they hired a private investigator, and that's like I said, the private investigator said that he wouldn't still be on acid and things like that, and has kind of debunked a few things, but we're no closer to solving things. So what happened to Rennie? Here's some obvious like theories. One theory is that he either killed himself or died accidentally by drowning. And the police pretty much told the family straight away, because of the, I think, location of the oceanside villa or whatever that they have, house, that 100% he drowned. He's in the ocean, right? He took acid. He's in the ocean. That's what the police are like. When they hear that he did acid, even though it's the day before, when they hear that he did acid.
That's how you know that cops are fucking squares. Because anybody who's ever fucking done any sort of drugs would be like, that was 24 hours ago. That's not a factor anymore. Unless you took the wildest acid. I'm sorry. It's just like fucking idiots. Okay.
But like once they hear that he took acid at all, they're like, oh, that's what happened. He's drowned. But authorities also come forward later and kind of contradict themselves and say when they realize that theory also doesn't hold water, not just because of the timing of the acid, but also because he could not have swam far out enough to where he wouldn't be found. It was freezing.
That's what I was gonna say too. Wouldn't he just wash back up? It's not like the tide. Yeah.
And the one investigative thing that did happen is they searched the fuck out of the ocean, so they would have found him.
Yeah, I mean, it's not 100% that they would have found him, but the idea that he would swim out far enough to not come back in is not. That doesn't make sense to me. Like bodies that drown like on the shore of the beach are found, like always.
He couldn't have gone out that far.
No, it would have to be somebody would have to take him in a boat and dump him for him to not wash back up.
If you're dumped in like the middle of, but if you're dumped in like the middle of nowhere in the ocean, that's different. But like this is like he's right on the beach.
If he drowned on the beach, he'd wash up on the beach.
Yes, he was never found. So another theory is that he got overwhelmed and ran away, ran away, and he's out there somewhere. By some accounts, like and it kind of tracks in a way because by some accounts he wasn't happy with his field, with his job, whatever the fuck choices. And one friend, the same friend I was talking about earlier, said that they would often talk about whether all the hard work they were putting into their degrees was really worth it. And this same friend said that one time in this kind of conversation, he told her, wouldn't it be nice to just like walk away and start a new life and bail on everything?
Okay, but wasn't he naked? Or wouldn't he have been
Uh,
naked? His clothes were in the
the
trash.
yes,
All his other shit was
that
inside. Like,
so that is a very weird thing to do, to leave naked. Um,
I feel like
that
you're
is very
gonna
weird.
get found. You're gonna get found eventually, probably arrested. You know,
Also, he left his wallet. He left like some basic stuff that would be really helpful if you're trying to start a new life.
yeah.
But who knows? That is one theory that's floated because of this kind of life place he was in. And
Mm.
I don't put too much stock in him saying, wouldn't it be nice to just walk away? Because like I probably say that. You know what I mean? Like
Dude, I
it's
feel
not like you
that
can
every day. I like open my eyes and I'm like, this again? It'd be so great to
yeah,
run
I mean
away and like
sometimes
live
you're
in
like, let's
on Hawaii.
all
Or
live
in
on a desert
Hawaii.
island.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just sometimes you say that, especially when you're under pressure, you're in college,
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
Probably in grad school every like 2 minutes. I was like, what if I just got a new identity? Like
Yeah, like
left
I could
forever.
start over. Like nobody would ever need to know. Yeah.
Actually, side note, I had a economics teacher in high school who was actually a sad grad student at UC Berkeley, and he disappeared, and his family, and like no one could find him. We had a bunch of substitutes, which was awesome for the rest of the year. Just watched movies, and eventually they found that he had ran away and was in Fiji.
Holy shit.
So he actually did it.
But he didn't tell anybody. I mean, it does
No,
happen.
no.
Like I've seen it in the
Yeah,
news recently. It's
college
happened.
is hard. Grad school's hard. Yeah.
Shit is life is fucking hard. Like I don't fault
Yeah.
people. It's shitty to leave your family wondering, but I also don't think that's what happened here. Because again, he was
No.
naked and didn't have any money. It's like, how far could you get?
Also, supposedly someone in either 2016 or 2017, I saw both dates, called Rennie's mom from a blocked number and said, I miss you. I want to come home.
What?
But that could just be a bullshit prank thing.
That could be
So who
somebody
knows?
being fucking horrible because I feel like that's the
Yes,
thing that happens.
it happens.
People do that.
Lastly, what I'm kind of leaning towards as my favorite theory, the friends seem fucking suspicious, don't they?
Yeah, they did it. They did something to this poor kid.
Did he really take LSD? Did he really say that? We don't know. Were they setting up their story? Their behavior after his disappearance like sucks, no matter how you slice it.
Yeah.
And to me, the clothes and the belongings in the trash could be seen two different ways. Either he was, if you believe the police thing, he was on acid and he took them off like being crazy and he put them there himself, and like ran away into the ocean or whatever the fuck, right? But to me, this almost feels more like someone is just inebriated themselves and poorly covering shit up.
Yeah, and the cops are really
thinking that they're
helping
hiding
them.
evidence.
Yeah, and the cops are
Yeah.
helping them by like not testing anything or giving a shit.
Yes.
Which is weird
Yes.
because at this point it's like, listen, he didn't just run away for the weekend. He's not at some girl's house. He's gone. Like you guys need to fucking look into this. Like you need to start testing clothing for touch DNA or whatever the fuck,
Yeah, and I don't think the house was really properly tested for like DNA or anything like that because it's like I've heard in all the coverage of this case like, oh, there's no evidence, but I'm like, okay, but what did they even test for? Like
it sounds like there's the possibility of a lot of evidence.
Yes, there could have been a microscopic blood drip that no one fucking gave a shit about, right?
Yeah. There could be all
also
sorts of shit.
It feels like someone put the clothes in the dumpster, someone else put them there to me.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
I think something happened to him on the beach and whoever did it dropped the sock. Like that's and then brought the clothes back and dumped them.
That's quite possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or it could also be to me that he died of like drug overdose or alcohol poisoning or like some kind of accident. And then the friends all freaked out and covered it up.
Yeah. I just wonder where they would have put him. Because if they're so stupid, they're going to take the clothing back to the fucking dumpster at the house. Like what the fuck are they going to do with a body? Do
with a body? I don't know. That's a really good question.
Very perplexing.
Who knows? It's very perplexing. People have also pointed out to the end of the friends being suspicious. Why did if he theoretically did say I'm going to hurt myself, why did no one do anything? Why didn't they watch him? They're kind of, if nothing else, they're kind of shit friends. And why was there this long gap between him saying that and then them giving a shit or noticing and then reporting him missing, there was also another gap. So it's like they're taking their fucking time, you know, with
Right.
their supposedly good friend who said, I'm gonna fucking harm myself. They're like, meh. I mean, I know
Yeah.
they're all drunk and shit, but like it's
Well,
still kind of
obviously
like,
they're kind of bad people if they all just like bailed out
yes,
and then haven't cooperated. Like clearly something
yes,
happened.
yes,
In my thinking, it could be something as innocuous as like, yeah, he overdosed and died, and they all thought they would get in trouble if they told, and now
yes,
it's just so far gone that they can't go back on it. And it's like, well, if they did hide the
exactly.
body, then they can get in trouble. But it really could be
Yeah,
something as simple as that. And just kids are idiots, like young people
yeah,
are idiots. Like even smart ones that go to good colleges, like you're just not
yeah.
emotionally mature enough
Yeah,
by
it
and
very well could be
large,
something accidental, but that's the theory I'm leaning towards. Like, I don't know. It's very, very um it feels like this is the right theory to me.
Yeah.
But it's hard
Yeah.
to know because there's just no fucking evidence or investigation. So it's hard to have a good theory.
That's so crazy. They're
Um,
not even looking.
but yeah, it's Rennie's family is 100% positive. Their impression is that the friends are hiding something. They're 100% on team like foul play. They do not think it was him running away or an accident or drowning. And like I said, I tend to believe them. But yeah, police aren't doing anything, so it's very frustrating. I don't think much is going to come of it unless someone flips or feels guilty of that group,
And I think they
or they
will
find him.
eventually. Or if the cops like remove their heads from their anuses, which like, yeah, right. But if
Yeah,
they did, they might be able to figure it out. But like, yeah,
yeah.
oh man, that's
Unless that
fucking
happens,
frustrating.
or they find him somehow through some fluke. Like I don't know how this is going to resolve. It's very frustrating.
Well, what's frustrating too is like the private investigator hasn't really done anything or hasn't been able to do anything. It's like, have they not had any luck at all talking to any of the kids that were there? Like it just feels like there's all these blocks that like I don't know why the blocks are there. Like why can't they get around this shit and just like figure it out? That's
Yeah,
frustrating. That's super
yeah. It's
frustrating.
frustrating. He seemed like he was a really good kid and like really sweet and had everything going for him. And
Yeah.
many people, including his supposed friends, kind of dropped the ball and giving a shit.
Well, maybe because they did it, but yeah,
Yeah,
fuck, dude.
yeah,
Well, I feel like there's still time for this one. So let's hope we get updates because
for sure.
I think there could be. Um Fuck, dude, that was kind of your wow. Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah, leaving you hanging, leaving you hanging.
Well, I'm going to do the same right back. So get
Okay,
ready.
great.
I actually wrote one of my notes is very weird case, very frustrating too. So
Okay,
I'm
perfect.
right there with
Good duet here.
yeah. I'm doing the case of Susan Jakes.
Hmm.
Susan Jakes, it's Jacques.
I want to say Jacques, like French style.
I know.
Is
The
it
only
Jake?
reason I say Jakes is because of the author. I think his name is Brian Jakes. He did all the Redwall series, which
Mm,
I was like obsessed with when I was like 10. Um, and that's how he says his name. So I'm just going with that because that's my best guess.
okay.
Also, she's from Connecticut, so I feel like that's like going to be a white way of saying things. Anyway,
Okay.
okay, so Susan Jakes is it's 1986 and she's 18 years old. She's a senior at St. Joseph's High School in Trumbull, Connecticut. She is a good student. She's popular. She's super pretty. Everything's going good in her life. She's from a good family. They've got money. And she decides to go not only on a spring break, but like a like post spring break. So they're going like for spring break plus. So they're all like taking an
Okay.
extra week and more time off. So she and 10 other students decide to go down to or maybe nine other. It might have been 10 in total, but they decide to go
Okay.
for spring break down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So we're going to Florida again. There
Ah,
was, yeah, a lot of partying, lots of drinking. They're only 18, but this is 1986 in Florida. They're at bars. You know what I mean? Like they're
yeah,
drinking it up. They're having a good time. I mean,
absolutely.
I had a fake ID when I was like 17. I can't imagine how much easier it was back then, to get one or how much people didn't fucking care.
No,
Uh,
they didn't.
no. So they were all partying it up and staying at a beachfront motel. Now, if anybody doesn't know the difference between a motel and a hotel is that the hotel is all inside, so it's like got corridors
Mm.
with rooms, and then motels all of the doors face out into like the open air.
Oh, I didn't
That's
realize that was the technical difference. You're right, but like to
mhm.
me, if you ask me what's the difference is, I would just say a motel is shittier.
No, because there's some really nice motels that are just
Really?
technically motels because of
Okay.
that layout. Some of them call themselves hotels. I don't really know. I'm not gonna fucking pull anybody's card on that shit. But like that's
Gotcha.
yeah, I've looked it up in the past. I'm like, oh, and that might be wrong, but that's what I read. And then I read it again in another place, and I was like, okay, that makes a lot of fucking sense. So, from what I know, that is the difference between a motel and a hotel. And it makes sense to me that a motel would be a great option when you're staying on the beach. You know,
Yep.
why
Yep.
stay in a big fucking cubicle when you can be in the open air, open your door and there you are. So it wasn't necessarily like a money thing. Like I said, she came from money. I think a lot of her friends did. Trumbull, Connecticut, I think was pretty, upper middle class. So I think it was just the choice of location and wanting like a place they could party. So she was staying in a room with her best friend, Kara Buckley, and their other friends were staying in adjoining rooms. I don't know how many people were staying together on average, but I know it was just Susan and Kara in their room. So
Okay.
like I said, Susan was super bright, smart. She, was on her way to great things. She was the oldest of 4 children, so she kind of had the older sister vibes. She'd just been accepted to the University of Hartford. So this is her as a senior in high school. She's getting ready to go on to college. So, just a good student, has a bright future, everything's going great. However, she also likes to party, which like totally fine. And this group had been partying a lot. I think Susan and all the people in the group were pretty safe about it for the most part. Like I said, she was a really pretty girl. She did not have a boyfriend from everything I've read. So I think that made her more open to going out and kind of having fun, doing her thing, meeting
Yeah.
new people, which again, completely normal. This is what spring break is for. This is what vacations are for. Like, go have fun, live your life, right?
Yeah.
So everything about this so far is totally normal. And then it just does like a 180. So on the night of April 26th, they arrived on April 18th. So they've already been there for quite a while and they've only got a few
Yeah.
more days in their trip left. And I should say it's actually the night of the 25th slash the morning of the 26th because they'd all been out all night. So now it's rolled over into the
Okay.
morning of April 26th. It's unclear if they all went out together, this group every night, or if like they would go out in pairs and or smaller groups, like some people would go here, some people would go there. But in any case, it was 3:30 a.m. Everybody from her group was back at the motel. They were all getting ready to go to bed. And, Susan had never been on a trip without her family before, which again, I think for
Okay.
an 18-year-old is pretty normal. M-
Yeah.
like maybe you've gone with like a family, like a friend's family, but like
Yeah.
nobody really does. I mean, people do, but like it's fairly common to not go out on your own until you're 18, even for
For
like a
sure.
weekend.
For sure.
So, it's hard for me to say what she would normally do, but I can say that her mother was worried about her and put a note in her bag saying, don't go out on your own, stay with the group, don't do anything,
Yeah.
stupid. And it's great advice. And like I said, I don't know what Susan would or would not have done, but I do know that she did heed that advice up until this night. So at about
Okay.
3:30 a.m., like I said, everybody's getting ready to go to sleep. And she tells Kara, I want to go on a walk. I'm going to go walk down at the beach.
Oh
And
God.
3:30 a.m., 18-year-old girl,
No.
completely different state, wants to go by herself. So
No.
Kara,
You don't want to victim blame, but you're also screaming like the person. I feel like I'm watching a horror movie and being like, no,
yeah, no, it's not. Here's the thing. She
don't do
should
it.
absolutely be able to do this. Anybody should. You know what I
I
mean?
know. Yeah.
Like
For sure.
5-year-old kids should be able to play in their front yards. And if they can't, it's not
Mm-hmm.
their fault.
Yeah.
But Kara is like, please don't go. Like, let me come with you. Let's get a group
Yeah.
together. And she's like, no, no, I just want to go like clear my head. So later, her friends did speculate that she went out looking for another group of people that they had met that night while out partying. So maybe there was a boy, like maybe she'd met a
Yeah.
guy and she wanted to find him again. You're drinking, it's 3 a.m. Good decisions are never made. It's
No.
just,
No.
what's that saying? Like nothing good happens after midnight or something. Like, I feel like that's
Oh
so
my
true.
gosh.
Having lived through many nights later than that, I can confirm that that's true.
I mean, I have had some good like random snacks in the middle of the night though.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the best decision I've made at like 1 a.m. is like
Yeah.
pizza
Yeah.
for
Yep.
sure.
Yeah. I think that's fair. And that
Yeah.
could be like arguably like not a great decision. And if that's the best
I mean,
decision,
if you're me, that's
or
the
me,
best possible.
it's
Yeah.
fantastic. But
Wait, yeah. No, pizza
anyway,
tastes better after midnight.
it does. I fucking love
Tastes so
pizza.
good.
Made a
Yeah.
homemade pizza with like homemade crust the other day, and it was so fucking good. I like surprised myself.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh
God
man, we
damn,
should have
I'm
a
gonna
we
do
should
this
have a
again.
pizza off because I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah, this was like my first try, and that dough came out fucking spectacular. We should.
Mm,
Let's do it. That sounds like
yeah.
such a great idea. Anyway, okay, so at 1 in the morning or 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning, you can eat pizza. You cannot go for a walk on the beach by yourself in
No,
a foreign state.
sadly, no.
Unfortunately, Susan did decide to do this. And like I said, the motive for going out may have been to go find a group or a guy. Who knows? Either way, she left on foot by herself wearing a mini skirt and a tank top and I think like some flip flops. She was then seen about 30 minutes later around 4 a.m. at a Howard Johnson talking with a young blonde man who was overheard asking her if she was wearing a 1 or 2 piece swimsuit.
Ugh,
And a girl saw her. So this means like people were out all hours of the night. So it's not exactly like she was out on like this lonely, you know,
sure.
scary beach in the dark by herself. She was at a fucking another, hotel like partying or whatever.
Yeah.
From there, we have no idea where she went. And all we do know is that she did not come back to the motel. Her friends woke up the next morning, realized she was not there, called her parents, called police. A search ensued. They did take this very seriously. Her parents flew down. Everything just kind of kicked into gear for let's find Susan. Now,
Okay.
I've read that it took 3 days. I've read that it took 4 or 5 days. But either way, at least 3 days later, her body was found.
Ugh.
And it was found floating in a canal 35 miles away from her motel near
Wow.
Delray Beach in the Palm Beach area. So,
Wow, it's so far. Okay.
yeah, 35 miles away.
So there's no way this is a runaway accident thing. This is like a 100% abduction.
Well, that is literally, we'll get there. I don't want to like,
Okay. Okay.
but that's the main thing that makes them think that. Her
Yeah.
body, despite having been missing for only like 3 to 5 days, because it was in water and because it was warm,
Mm,
was so decomposed that they had to use dental records to identify her. And they
ugh,
also, to this day, do not have an identified cause of death.
that's so frustrating.
Yes. The ME was like, I
Ugh,
don't know. Sorry, I really can't tell. The medical examiner
gosh.
did say it was likely homicide, but they were basing
Yeah.
that on where her body was found. They're not
The
basing it on any
distance.
sort of like, yeah, there was no like scientific medical cause.
Right. Ugh.
So, no signs of foul play, but we don't know because she was so decomposed. There definitely could have been. But like, there definitely have been like skeletal remains found that have shown like signs of trauma, like knife markings, hyoid bones. There have always
Yeah.
been instances where you can find things. So I think it is telling and something to note that on her body there was nothing noticeable because
Okay.
that's significant because she was decomposed, but she wasn't just a skeleton. So
Yeah.
they've done more with less.
Okay.
Most detectives do seem to think that she was a victim of murder. But it's interesting because she was found fully clothed with no signs of
Hmm.
sexual assault, and she was still wearing her Gucci watch and equally expensive jewelry.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no robbery, no sexual motive. And again,
But
no
but they
sign.
also couldn't find the sign of like cause of death though. So maybe they just like there was a sexual assault, but they just all the evidence was lost.
I mean,
Maybe.
possibly the medical examiner seems to think that there was no sign. I think she was still wearing
Okay.
her underwear, like fully
Yeah.
clothed.
No obvious battery or anything.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, she definitely could have been redressed, but if
Yeah.
there could if she was sexually assaulted, even if she's decomposed, her clothing was still intact, so I feel like they could have
Right.
found evidence on the clothing.
Although just because Paul Holes always said, just because there's no evidence of sexual assault does not mean that there's not a sexual motive.
Absolutely
So
agree. Absolutely agree.
yeah.
But from what we can tell, the limited information we have, none of that is there.
It sounds like she could have been like strength or suffocated.
Possibly. And the other thing is, I
Yeah.
don't know if there was water in her lungs. I couldn't find anywhere whether or
Or
not there.
drowned.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or she could have drowned herself. She could have fallen in somewhere. But it's like, how'd she do that 35 miles from where she was last seen? You know?
Yeah.
So the police begin investigating, but like, the suspect pool is huge. A young blonde kid in Florida during spring break, like, good
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
luck. And that might not even be the guy. There might not be any guy. Like, we don't have any idea. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, again, the only real reason that they have to suspect foul play is that she was found so far away. And
Mhm.
because of this, police came up with nothing. And like I said, she came from a family with money, so they hired a private investigator, and he also came up with like basically nothing. What he was
Ugh.
able to do was rule out a bunch of men in the area. So what he did was he went up
Okay.
and down the strip anywhere within like a mile of where she was staying and got guest lists from all of the hotels, got any men who had checked out early right around the time she went missing, and started looking into why they checked out early, why they left, because just like with your last case, checking out early is a sign. It's a bad sign. It's a sign of guilt.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
he was very smart and he was like, let me look for men who checked out of hotels near hers early and see why they did it. And he was actually able to rule out every single one of the men that he looked into.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's
That's something, I
good.
guess.
It's
It's
something.
not
Yeah.
helpful, but I
Yeah.
guess yeah.
It's something. And this,
Yeah.
for what it's worth, this private investigator, based on whatever information he has, also believes that she was murdered. And to this day,
Mm.
police also believe this, even though it's been nearly 40 years. They believe she was either forced or tricked into getting into someone's car, where she was then held captive and murdered, even though nobody knows why or how.
Or how. Oh my
Or
God.
how. So the police now
Ugh.
believe that due to this severe lack of evidence, the only way this case will ever be solved is if somebody admits to it, either to
Yeah.
police or to another inmate if they happen to be in prison.
Or to
But
like their girlfriend or something, and the girlfriend comes forward, or wife or
exactly.
some, that
Exactly.
happens.
But shy of that, it's not looking good. So
Oh my
in your
God.
case, we have like a pretty good suspect pool, but no body. In this case, we
Hmm.
have a body, but
No
absolutely
suspects.
no leads, no suspects, nothing.
Oh my God. That's aggravating. Wow, we did both two aggravating mysteries today.
Yeah. Yep. I know.
Perfect.
Her friends and family planted a tree in front of her high school in honor of her 1 year after her death. She was laid to
Ugh.
rest in Connecticut. And crazy enough, her death is only one of 5 unsolved murders in Fort Lauderdale that year, which I feel is
Huh.
low because Fort Lauderdale, I feel like, has a lot of murder and a lot of spring breakers and a lot of shit. So
Yeah.
they had a pretty good solve rate. But it's still considered an open
Wow.
case, and I just don't think it's ever going to be solved.
Ugh,
So
that's so frustrating.
it
Or
really
what
is.
if only there was DNA, they could have like a genetic genealogy, like, chance.
Yeah,
But
I mean, it seems to me that unlike with your case, in this case, police
yeah,
did all their due diligence.
they tried.
They
Yeah.
did, and there's just nothing. Like, I don't know if they tested her for DNA. This was in the 80s, so
Right.
maybe they didn't, but if they collected her clothing, it could be, tested. Like, I don't know. My feeling is that when they took evidence, they didn't even see a reason to take DNA. There were no
Yeah.
stains, there was no blood, there
The
was like
water.
nothing.
The water's what ruins this for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Totally fucked up.
Yeah. But I mean,
Ugh.
I don't know. I also don't know Florida enough. Like, is there a canal she could have fallen into that like has rushing water where she could have gone 35 miles in 3 days? Like
I don't think so.
where nobody would have seen her? Like,
All
yeah.
that water is like very still and swampy. It's not rushing.
Yeah. And I feel like somebody would have seen her in that time, like floating,
Yeah.
like before she was
That's
found.
yeah.
So I don't know.
That's bananas.
Yeah, it's really fucked up. And her friends did stay and did try to find her. They all came back home on time, but while they were still there, they were all like actively looking for her, actively cooperating.
Unlike in Rennie's case. Yeah.
Yes. So very similar in some ways, but very, very different in others. If we could just combine these two cases, I feel like they'd both be solved. But sadly, that's not how
Yeah.
it works.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's
So
crazy.
yeah, there they are. There's our first two
They
fucked
are.
up ass cases.
Hmm.
Hopefully our next two aren't as frustrating because goddamn, it's quite
Yeah.
a lot. All right, guys, that's it. Anything else we want to talk about?
I was gonna say happy Easter, but I guess that's in a few days. It's in a
Oh
week.
yeah, yeah. I
Easter.
thought,
I know you're very devout and you're very Catholic, so like
dude,
it's
I
a
thought
big
it
day
was
for
yesterday.
you.
I thought Easter was yesterday. I was like, oh my
No,
God, I
it's
missed
the
Easter.
9th.
I
I am gonna
know.
make a ham, really good ham. So
Are
excited
you?
about that.
I don't
Yeah,
like ham. I mean, I don't eat pork
I
or
always
beef,
make a
but
ham.
I don't like
Yeah,
ham. Even if I did eat it,
I'm
I
not.
wouldn't eat ham.
We're not huge ham people, but it's like I can make a really good one. So
It's tradition. Some things are bigger than us. So
yeah,
I'm not buying
I
eggs
don't
for
mind it.
Easter this year because I'm not a millionaire. So we're probably just gonna
Mm,
fill up some plastic
I know.
ones and it's
Eggs are now a rich person food.
it's
So
cheaper to fill eggs up with money, like fake eggs up with money, than to buy actual
buy
eggs.
eggs. Oh my God. No, the last
That's
eggs I
just
bought were
wrong.
$8 and I was desperate.
Dude, I
So
got an 18 pack for 5 the other day. I felt like I won the lottery. Like, holy
wow.
shit. Yeah.
Everyone's caught on to the Trader Joe's cheap eggs, and when I was there last time, they were gone, and I was so sad.
I got mine at, I forget. It was definitely not like, oh, I think it was like Aldi. Aldi came in and like helped us out.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
this has been
guys.
Egg Corner,
Yeah.
egg discussion moment, egg podcast.
Podcast about eggs. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. Sorry we're a day late. I'm gonna get my shit together, hopefully, and find some sort of,
Hopefully, you feel better. Yeah,
yeah, some kind of allergy medication that doesn't just make me think I'm dying, because that's fun.
perfect. That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, but hopefully our next episode gets released on time and we'll have a Patreon episode out soon. But I guess until then,
Hey,
off our
blessings.
stay off 'em.